Good afternoon and welcome to the Happy Half Hour. I'm Leigh Kubin.
And I'm Sandra Priestley. Welcome to our podcast. Happy Thursday.
Happy Thursday.
I am drinking out of my You Look Powerful Today mug, and
Oh,
I am drinking a double, a double of peppermint tea.
nice. Well, I am just drinking some plain old unsweetened iced tea.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
you know how I'm like into podcasting now. Like podcasting
Yeah,
is my and so I was listening to a podcast the other day, and it was a business coach, and she said that she was listening to someone else, so this is like 19th hand, but still.
yeah.
And the quote that she loves that this woman had said was, women who believe in you will challenge you.
Mm.
And she said that resonated with her so much. She's never forgotten it. And I think it'll be one of those things that I won't forget either. Similar to, you can be in faith or fear, one or the other, like choose, or you can
Mhm.
be a badass or, whiny or you
Insecure.
badass or
Yeah.
whatever, like you only one or the other. But I feel like this is something that I am going to remember always,
Mhm.
because I've always been the person that felt like I wasn't the best cheerleader. Like I wasn't the best cheerleader. If a friend or someone said to me, this is what he did, and my husband's an asshole, and this is what he had, and isn't that crap? I was not the one that was going to agree unless I agreed. I was the one that was going to say, well, wait a minute now. Maybe it's my Libra. I don't know. But I
Oh,
will
because you like balance,
exactly. I like
hmm
balance. I don't like
fairness, justice.
right on
Hmm.
the scales. And so, I mean, it could be that too, but I'm always going to be the one that is like going to challenge you to be a little like to push yourself.
Yeah.
I'm not the greatest cheerleader, better coach. That resonates with me so much because I think a lot of times people will say, right, especially with friends, right? This is what I said. What do you think? I am not going to be the girl that says, that's great, unless I really feel like it's great.
Yeah.
I'm always going to tell the
Yeah.
truth. And
Yeah, like
sometimes,
when I read you something I wrote to somebody and you were like, "Oh, did you
um,
really say that?"
well, and then my first question was, is it sent already? Because, there would be a different response. Possibly
Yeah,
if you sent it, there's nothing we can do.
right.
But, that's the thing. It's like, I feel like we have to challenge people more to step into their authentic selves, to step into their best selves,
Yeah.
to like just challenge the way they're behaving instead of just go, yeah, cheers, like he's a dick.
Good job or whatever.
Yeah,
It keeps them stuck and it keeps them in the same cycle, being the
exactly.
victim or whatever. It keeps them from coming out of that and seeing
And
more.
for as much as I tease you about saying, what is it that you want? Like, what do you want?
Hmm.
It's the best coaching technique, because if you're sitting in the shit, you're sitting in this like, process where you can't get out of it.
Yeah.
Like, especially if you're that person who is complaining every single day. I mean, you and I together, it feels like, or it feels like me anyway, but it feels like I have navigated a lot of heavy things since we've had this
Yeah.
podcast. You know, like
Yeah.
some wild, crazy things.
Hmm.
And I feel like at times it would be so easy to just say, oh, I can't do this podcast. I can't, like, I got to cancel. I'm not feeling good. My brain isn't in it, and all these things. But it's like, that's not where I want to stay. That's not where
Hmm.
I'm going. I don't want to look in the rear view mirror. So for you to say to me, but what is it that you want? I'm like, shit. Okay. Well, yeah, I
Yeah.
don't want to feel like this.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
I don't want to feel like
I want
this. I
more.
don't want to think this. I sometimes I'm like, I don't want to be in this fucking situation. I'll tell you that much
I
for
want
free.
you to shut the hell up, Leigh. That's what I want.
I want to, yeah. But I mean, I say that with love because, of
I know.
course, like it's this, like, oh shit, I can't roll in it. Okay, let's go,
Hmm.
you know? And I think as friends, like and women, or we should be, instead of commiserating and instead of letting our friends stay where they're at too long.
Yeah.
You know, it's one thing to have a really shitty day and to go, fuck, I'm really struggling with this and try to get out of it. It's another thing to say, oh, today was hard,
Yeah.
you know? And then us to, we somehow support that.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so sorry. What can
Hmm.
I do? I'll tell you what you can do. I believe in you. Let's challenge that, you know?
Hmm. But we do that sometimes.
Mm.
And and because it's hard, especially with friends. With clients, it's super easy
Yeah, because you've
because
already
they're
got,
not paying me to soothe
exactly,
them. They're
exactly,
paying me
to
to
change that
change
or
them.
help them. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's fun working with those
Mhm.
people. And sometimes I do forget. And I come home and Lily's got an issue or Paul's got an issue.
I
And I
know.
just dive into coach mode.
Yeah.
Don't therapize me.
Oh no, I know. I know.
And
I dive into interrogation mode. Like I am like parole officer. And so, I mean, I go there so that I can get all the details, and then I start the therapizing.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
two things not they don't want.
they don't. And but it's so hard
Mhm.
because you can look at the situation and see the problem.
Yeah.
Like you can, or not the problem, but their part in it and how they can shift.
Yeah.
And although I don't say those words, I'm trying to lead them there. And that's not what they want. And then it's like, damn,
I know.
like I could help them, but they're being stubborn.
Yeah.
They want to
Exactly.
roll around in the shit.
They want to roll and stay there. And I think I've said this to you before, but one of the a couple of things, a quote that a friend of mine said to me one time. I was going through a rough time. It was like, I don't know, 15, 16 years ago. And he said to me, I was saying, he said, you know, he's counseling me basically. And I said to him, I can't get out of this. And he said, you know what? It's okay. It's okay to feel the way you're feeling, but it is not okay to stay there.
Yeah.
And that really resonated with me because I thought, and how long do I need to stay here? Well, in emotion, I learned less 90 seconds.
Hmm.
So a true emotion lasts 90 seconds. And if I'm keeping it for 90 days, it means that I've fed it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
But
And so,
we repeat it, but we don't
mhm.
just repeat it. We make it mean things
Oh,
about
yeah.
who we are and what we're worthy of and what we're capable of.
Yeah.
And then we twist it and turn
Yeah.
it into this big nasty thing when it was just this little bitty thing.
Exactly. We
And
tell
then in the
stories.
process, how much
Yeah.
time are we going to waste on this thing?
Exactly.
I have a patient that lost her mom last year, and she came in to see me, I think yesterday. And I asked her, I said, how was your Thanksgiving? And she says, it was fine. I was alone. Boyfriend was out of town. First Thanksgiving without my mom. So it was really tough. And I was okay for the most part. But then I began to get sad and miss her. And then she
Mm.
started crying.
Yeah.
And so I handed her some tissue, the box of tissues, and said, help yourself.
Yeah.
I keep them on my desk.
Right.
But I said, tell me, what do you miss about your mom? because she did have a very traumatic life with her mother.
Okay.
And she started telling me all these things, the way she said my name, the way she laughed, the way she smelled, her quirky little things that she did that used to annoy the hell out of me. And she got really, really happy in a short amount of time. And I said, doesn't it feel better
Mhm.
to think those thoughts about your mother than to
Yeah,
tell the story about how sad you are that she's gone?
exactly. Yeah.
And she kind of sat up and I said, I'm saying this with love to you,
Yeah.
but how much time are you going to waste
Mhm.
focused on something that you can't control and that
Yeah,
doesn't feel good and you can't change?
exactly.
You're not showing up in your life when you're in that state.
Yeah.
But if you could find a way to sit in gratitude for those memories that you can think about her that brings that smile to your face, how
Hmm.
different would your day be?
Exactly.
And she was like, point taken. Wow. I mean, it shifted her in a minute. Now,
I love
I couldn't do that with Lily.
it. Right.
You know, is
They're
she's a
not as
client.
receptive when you've given birth to them. Like they're
No.
not.
Or even a friend
Yeah.
that was not coming to me saying, "Okay, help me."
Yeah. I find, I think I've said this to you before too. When I was still managing at work, I had this team that was in Edmonton, so it was away from me, and I would go and visit, and they were not my biggest fans. And there was four of them that were really like core. They were so solid. They worked together forever. And it was interesting because I talked to the one woman and I loved her so much. And I said, I just don't get what's going on. You four are so solid. You're so solid. This should not be a toxic work environment. What is happening? And she said, Sandra, it's interesting because the three of us can be having coffee in the morning. We can be having the best day ever. Best morning, talking about the weekend, talking about how amazing they had something they had to eat, where they went, what they did. So fun. And one person, the fourth person, comes in pissed off.
Mm,
And she said, you'd think that the natural reaction would be to lift her up because we want her to feel better. But we all go down with her.
yeah.
We all go down there to make her feel better.
Yeah. And
That's
that's
so
really what you
interesting.
have to do
Mhm.
to make them feel better. You have to go down to that level, that vibrational level with them. But then you're just trauma bonding.
Right. Exactly. It's true.
Yeah.
Because I mean, when they are in a really pissy mood, you're not going to say everything is rosy, right? Like, I get it. At the same time, it would depress the entire group of them
Hmm.
for an entire day.
And it
I
wouldn't
mean,
matter which one. So it wasn't like one of them was that way. It was whoever showed up in a bad mood.
yeah, it was one of the four, or two of the four, or four of the four. I mean, but it was always like, there was always one of them that had a really awful experience with a client that, and it didn't matter what it was, that person would go and like bitch
Yeah.
to the other three.
Hmm.
And then they would all start to, because that negative vibration, it is attractive, right?
It's default mode.
It's totally default mode. I
Hmm.
read one time someone said negativity is lazy.
Yeah.
And I thought it's so true because it's the default. Negativity is easy to go to.
Yeah.
Positivity is work.
Hmm.
Like, and it's so sad that it is like that. But
Yeah.
that is the work. That is the work. to not tell yourself shitty stories, to
Mhm.
not go down the hill with your friend who's bitching, to, like, because
Yeah.
it is really fucking easy to be sitting in a situation where someone is complaining about something and you dive right in.
Mhm.
Like,
Mhm. Reminiscing
know,
about the things that are in your life, maybe even 20 years ago,
yeah,
that felt like that.
exactly.
Oh, well, let me tell you about the time this happened to me.
Right.
All of a
Yeah,
sudden you're pissed off and anxious
I know.
um and it's funny because at work sometimes the girls will be talking about things that have happened over the weekend and or they're talking about something that sounds super dramatic
Yeah.
and I'm kind of walking by and I kind of gravitate like, oh, what's going on?
I know.
And then I'm like backing up, going, do not enter, do not engage.
I
You
know.
don't need to know, and you don't need to go down that road.
I know. Did I say on the podcast one time? So I had read something someone said was like, guys bond by like chirping each other, like by like jabbing each other, cutting each other down, and women gone by bond through gossip. And I thought, man, we suck. Like we
Yeah.
suck. Is that really how we bond? I would hope to bond by vulnerability and like amazing stories. But it is very, very easy to
Yes.
see someone says, do you want to know what happened? And you're like, oh, yes, you are
What
my
is
new
it?
best friend. What happened? Tell me
Spill it.
all. Spill it. It's so easy to go there.
Yeah.
I think, I mean, I always say awareness is the biggest thing. As long as you can stay in awareness of it, as long as you can stay and you can have that sort of objective view, like, wait a minute, am I going into work every day super happy because I've been listening to Sandra and Leigh on the podcast on the drive in? And then I get there and the same person is always pissed off. And then I go down the hill. Maybe it's not work.
Mm.
Maybe it's I'm picking up the energy and I'm allowing myself to pick up that energy. It's not, let's blame that
Yes.
other person. It's,
No.
oh, wait a minute. I haven't had the greatest of boundaries on my energy. I don't need to pick that up. I don't need to step in that big pile of dog shit. I
No.
get to walk around it.
Yeah.
Not that she's the pile of dog shit, but
No,
you know
but
what I mean? It's like that energy, if that's not what is making you feel good, then when you go in, you've got to have better boundaries on that energy, right? Like, I'm
yeah.
not picking this up. I'm going to intentionally stay more positive. I'm
Mm.
going to intentionally maybe go for coffee at a different time because I'm feeling weaker today. Like I could
Yeah.
maybe go down that rabbit hole that I don't
Yeah.
want to go down. And
And
I've had to do that before.
learning to see those people as opportunities to sort of hone our skills.
Yeah.
Because if we're aware of that, then we've been working on it. And what we want is more positivity.
Right.
And so when we'll just say negative Nancy shows up
Yeah.
and we bump into her, that is sort of our opportunity to practice our new skill
Yes.
and
Exactly.
assess how we did. Now,
And
for me,
usually that
sometimes
happens too, right? If we
it
set a goal,
always happens.
if we decide, okay, I'm not going to go down the rabbit hole today.
Yeah.
I'm not going to like go negative. We will encounter a whole whack of things that would
And we
normally
can
be our
use them as an excuse
Mhm.
as to why we failed,
Yeah.
or we can remember, oh, this is helping me. This was
This is
put
stretching
here
me.
to
Exactly.
show me what I can do.
Yeah.
And then
Exactly.
I can do it
Yeah.
and stop using it as an excuse.
Yeah. We often, I find, excuse, especially when I was at work too, but it's like, work is so negative, the clients are so negative, the situation isn't great, the building is awful,
Yeah.
I don't like these hours, and why do we have to go to these meetings and there's nothing there for me,
Yeah.
and we
Have a
can do,
crazy boss.
yeah, yeah. We can do that, or we can choose to see, like, what do we want, right? Do
Yeah.
we want to be bitchy? Because
Mhm.
if that's what we want and we want to take that energy home to our families, I guess, we'll see
Yeah.
what happens.
Because it
But
just spills over into other areas of
yeah,
our lives. But I
yeah.
will say for me, when I realized that that crazy boss that was at work
Mhm.
was one of three things troubling me. And when I went, oh shit, Lee, you're the common denominator. Not that it was me that was causing her behavior,
Mhm.
but it was my attention to it that was causing turmoil in my life.
Yeah.
And when I had that stern talking to myself of, this is you, you've got to tell the story you want in all
Yeah.
of these situations.
Mhm.
And I began to go in looking at the sunset and the bumper
Mhm.
stickers and the green lights and
Yeah.
just the beauty around me and being excited about the people that I would get to work with and how I don't really have to talk much to her. And I'm
Mhm.
so busy, I don't see her. And that was the story was what a
Yeah.
job I have. Like, how blessed am I to get to come to this place every single day? It took 2 weeks before she turned her notice in.
I know. It's so wild because the
Yeah.
more we put attention to it, the more we keep
Yes.
it in our space.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
And the
and
more
it's
I started telling the story that I loved, it was all of the story I was telling was actually true.
Mhm.
I was just looking at the things I loved and discarding the things that were making me want to quit my job.
Well, and don't you find so? I mean, common thought is if you're frustrated with someone, then you look for things in them that you can appreciate. And I think what happens is A, that's fucking hard sometimes. And B, we're lying to ourselves, right? We're really trying to force it when we're like, well, I guess I don't mind her shirt today. Like that's not really, but, but if we find things that we really resonate with, like we can go, whoa, is that ever a pretty sunset? And be deeply in gratitude for it.
Yeah.
It's an honest up level of the frequency.
Mhm.
It's not like, oh, okay, let me find something that I don't hate about her. I
Yes.
can't.
What
She
can I
sucks.
tolerate about that woman? And
Right.
and I will be honest, there are great qualities about her. However, I could not identify them
In the moment.
in the moment. And it was the path of least resistance for me.
I have this quote that's written on my whiteboard here, and I just love it. And I've been waiting to say it on the pod forever.
Ah,
And and I don't remember, I didn't write down who said it. So,
we'll have
credit
to Google it.
credit goes to me. I don't know. I hate that. But anyway, the quote was when we say yes inauthentically, the result is resentment.
Oh, 100%.
And I just like, I don't know why that was so freaking mind blowing to
Mhm.
me, but I mean, it's not a shocker. Of course it is. When we
Yeah.
say yes inauthentically, like we're going to feel that resentment. We're going to be pissed because we didn't want to do it in the fucking first place.
Well, it's like we said yes because we feel we're obligated. We
Yeah.
don't have a choice to
Yeah.
say no. So we say yes, and then we're pissed
Yeah.
from the time we say yes, whether it's a day away, a week away, a month away.
Yeah.
The don't say yes until you can feel good about it. And if you can't feel good about it, say no.
No.
And you don't
And
have to make up an excuse or lie. You can just simply say, that's not going to work out for me. Have fun.
right? I have a client who her entire life she was sort of raised as like she was raised in a big family. She was the oldest girl, and she was taking care of all of the younger girls and taking care of the older boys while they get to go and do stuff. And she was like making sure that the house had to be clean when her parents got home. She had to have a meal on the table. Like, I mean, she was really like expected to be everything to everybody. And as a result of that, and I think as well as a result of her religious background,
Hmm.
she's really feeling like her job is to serve,
Yeah.
and her job is to see the best, and her job is to forgive. And but unfortunately what's happened is she feels like her job is to suck it up and always say yes.
Mm-mm.
And so someone says, can you make 4 cheesecakes by tomorrow? Because, I have to, we need, I heard you were really good at cheesecakes and we've got a bake sale. You know, Previous to this, she was saying yes, but then mad. And so now it's like she's really seeing how she has just thrown herself under the bus to
Yeah.
let the bus drive over her, get
Yeah.
unstuck, right?
Yeah.
And it's interesting too, because once, in my experience, once women start to see shit, I've had crappy boundaries. I'm going to start to implement them now. They like go a little far, you know? No. It's like either they're like super strong, say no, and people are shocked, or they say no, but then they go out of their way to make sure that the other person is okay with them saying no.
Hmm.
It's a phenomenon I just find fascinating.
Yeah.
Isn't it interesting that
Yeah.
we tell our young girls no means no,
Hmm.
and we expect our boys to respect no means no?
And then,
Then we don't accept no from other people when it's something like, I don't know. What do you mean you can't make me 4 cheesecakes by tomorrow? You know?
you would never do that.
Well, I would never do that. No, I
Hmm.
would not do that.
Hmm. And like for me, well, first of all, no one's going to ask me to make cheesecake, but let's pretend they did. Let's pretend I was really, really good at it. Or let's say someone asked me to make gumbo.
Right. It might
It,
be me. If I am ever in
now, I
Texas,
would
I'm going to
gladly,
get you to make it for me.
gladly make you some gumbo with the right kind of flour.
Yes.
But if I were angry and resentful that I had to make Sandra a big old pot of gumbo,
Mhm.
you would not want to eat it
Right.
because energetically, as
Mhm.
I'm stirring the roux
Yeah.
and cutting the vegetables and doing all the stuff, and I'm pissed off and I'm angry, you don't think that resentful energy is not going into that food?
This is so crazy because I'm doing the 12 days of Christmas.
Hmm.
Today is day 5, and that is exactly what I talked about.
Hmm.
Isn't that wild?
That is crazy.
It is, but that's exactly what I talked about. Like, whoa, like pay attention to how you feel when you're cooking, because all of that energy is like
Mhm.
just goes right into the food. And
Yeah.
you want your family and friends to feel like they're wanted, like they're cherished, like
Yes.
that you're cooking with love and you're throwing in this. There's this, I talked
They're
about this.
not going to taste it and go, oh, you were angry when you made this.
No, but
But
then
I
that
swear to
leaves.
you, they'll feel it,
Yep.
probably unconsciously, but they'll
Yes.
feel it.
Yes.
Mhm.
Exactly.
But I think
Man.
we're out of time.
Okay.
Well, thank you, Sandra, so much. And thank you guys for joining us. We'll see you next Thursday on the Happy Half Hour. Bye.
Bye.